Hey guys, what's going on? You know what's funny is I just did a live stream yesterday because I was lagging on making a video about this because I thought about making a video about this like a week ago, and then all of a sudden, just everybody started talking about it. So like I was like, I need to talk about it too. And what is it? It's this. What's the best deck in Phantom mode? Spirit Master is literally broken. 103 billion damage. A-Friend Gaming, and then. Godlike Mike, play this before they nerf it. And if you go to his lives, ironically, I apparently screenshotted a moment when he wasn't playing Spirit Master. Dark Inquisitor is also very good, but this is where it was a live stream where he was going to specifically play Spirit Master, just a whole bunch. And then Momo Royale, 1.3 trillion by Spirit Master in 16 waves. I knew about this about a week ago. Like probably about a week ago, and I got the Phantom mode day one, and on day one the mode was super broken. Vampire was giving people, like, if you were using Vampire, the Vampire bite onto a boss was giving people like 100 million damage or 100 million health bosses like round one. It was dumb. And then it was like 500 million on a round two. It was crazy. And that was a glitch. Monk was very good in this mode, which prompted the idea of what even is this mode. And what this mode is burst damage. It's how fast can you do large quantities of damage, and then over the course of the game, can you grow that amount of damage to just continue doing large quantities of damage? Spirit Master has always been burst damage. Stone Power, with all of the speed modifiers that you have, with Storm Power, with a Spear, with a Gadget, with a Zeus, all of that, with a Knight statue, even if you were going to try to use an Enchant Sword, all of the speed modifiers that you can give to Spirit Master, Stone Power does so much burst damage, and that is all of Spirit Master's power. After you activate Spirit Master, you have a 5% chance of throwing a boulder, dealing 200% of its damage. And the thing about like Spirit Master is that it doesn't even have stacks. It doesn't even grow in damage. It grows in speed. When you rank up a unit, it gets higher attack speed, at which point it'll just throw faster. If you want to understand what a 5% chance is, if you've ever played Blade Dancer and you see like all of the blades, the Dance of the Wind activate, Dance of the Wind has a 1% chance of activating at all. And the fact that it activates as often as it does will show you how often a 5% chance will activate on a Spirit Master. And that's why it's always been good. But especially within Phantom mode, the way that Phantom mode works is if you can kill your boss quicker than your opponent, then you get a 4% boost to your mana generation. Anything that gives you mana, you'll start gaining 4%. And then if you kill the next boss, then you get 8%. And then on the next boss, now you're at 12%. And Spirit Master is obviously all about mana. Gunslinger also has the ability to give you mana with Lucky Shot. It also gives you attack speed with High Charisma. Everything about Spirit Master is made for this format. When Monk came out and it was like ruling the meta, and that became the first thing that everybody noticed, they immediately nerfed it. I expect that this is going to be the next nerf. Why? Because it's not an event unit. Not anymore, at least. It used to be, but it's no longer an event unit. And so they don't want this to be better than an event unit. And that's just how this game works. That's how their development works. They will actively say, oh, Spirit Master is something that everybody has. We don't want that to make people not want a Phoenix. We don't want that to make people not want a Bard. We don't want that, we don't want the attention to be on something that people already have that we don't make money off of, which is why they immediately nerfed Monk. And there's no reason to think that they will not immediately nerf Spirit Master. Spirit Master is completely dominant in this format, especially if you have a Zeus. And the reason why I even know that it's this good is not because I've seen like multiple YouTubers talk about it or showcase videos of it. It's not because I look at the Discord and a lot of people are talking about Spirit Master and how good it is. The reason why I know that is because I'm going to show you a gameplay, and I don't even really have strategy with this. And these are the amount of games that I've won, either because I've just outright won them, or because somebody just decided to quit against me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm on a 14 win streak. With just this deck. And let me tell you, I don't even have strategy with this. My strategy with this is to put 3 Spirit Masters onto 3 growth tiles while also getting a 4th one. And that's it. That's my strategy. Beyond that, I don't really have anything. I don't have strategy beyond that. That's it. It's just put 3 Spirit Masters on a growth tile, utilize the other growth tile to gain stacks until I get to 60. Switch theoretically switch another Spirit Master, like raise 4 at the same time, put a 4th Spirit Master when I get to 60% onto the 4th growth tile, take it off of it, like on the next round, merge onto it so that it stays at 60, but I have them all, put trappers on, random gadget tiles, and that's it. That's my strategy. That's the winning. That's how I've won all of these games. It's dumb. It's the amount of overpowered that it is dumb. The other thing that I wanted to showcase in this video specifically is I just upgraded a Kobold. And if you don't understand how Kobold works, I believe that Motherload new forces is the way to go. I think it's just easier than trying to build up a Kobold. The thing about Kobold is that the reason why it's good is because you don't need to leave it on the field. When you're running Night Statue or when you're running Enchant Sword with a Awakening with Eternal Gaze, you need to leave it on the field, and that sucks up your scrapper hits. You want all of your scrapper hits to go onto everything that's important. When you're running Motherload and you're running new forces, you have the ability to just auto drop all of your kobolds into the hole. And so they just automatically disappear. That you always have those stacks. You're gaining damage stacks. Like I said, again, Spirit Master doesn't gain damage. It gains attack speed, which in turn gives it damage because it has a 5% chance of dealing 200%. But what it's actually gaining over the course of the game is attack speed, not necessarily attack damage, even though the attack speed contributes to attack damage, obviously. But with your Kobold, you're actually adding damage so that your base damage is becoming larger, at which point your speed and your damage are both increasing over the course of the game. And with Kobold, you can just constantly when you fill up the field with either scrappers or trappers, mostly scrappers, you have to really be careful without to not get rid of all of your scrappers, because you don't really need a lot of trappers either. But once you start filling up your board, and you leave 2 spots available, when you drop in a Kobold, it'll automatically get sucked into the hole, and then you're done. And then you just keep scrappering until your Spirit Master's at level 7, and then you just basically win. And you can literally sit on 3 Spirit Masters. The Trapper, I don't do it in this gameplay, but the strategy with Trappers is to it's to get them late game. I think I leave 2 Trappers on the field, and that is also sucking up Scrapper hits. So you'll notice that I have really low level Spirit Masters because all of my Scrapper hits are going towards my Trappers. You can suck that up with your Gunslinger, and you can like do the switch to get a higher Gunslinger, and that is probably a better strategy. But to even like get rid of that variance, you could also get rid of all of your Trappers so that the only thing that you have on your field, if I had a strategy, this would be it. 3 Spirit Masters on growth tiles and a Gunslinger. That's all you need. Maybe like 4 or 3 on a growth tile, 1 off of a growth tile, and then a Gunslinger. That honestly should be your entire board. And then just keep getting all of those Scrapper hits onto your Spirit Masters, onto your Gunslinger, and then build out your Trappers, and then build out the rest of your field. And that's basically, that should be your strategy. The thing with Kobold that I really like, now that I've upgraded it to 11, I'm going to pause this really quick. The thing that I really like about a level 11 Kobold, the thing about Kobold is that every time you get a new Kobold, it's basically you're not wasting a summon-in, but you are using a summon-in, and you're not even using it for Scrapper Eats. The deck uses up so much mana. It uses up mana because you have Spirit Master. It uses up mana because you're summoning in kobolds that are just immediately disappearing, at which point you need to summon in something else in order to eat it, in order to feed scrappers, in order to upgrade your units. And so you're just expelling mana so much. The thing about the level 11 new forces talent on Kobold that I just got, every single time a Kobold goes into the mine and you lose it, you have a 40% chance of auto summoning in a new one, and that goes wacky at some points. It does it in this game, and I'll attempt to point it out, but if you just watch for it, you'll see it. When one disappears, you have a 40% chance of auto summoning in another one. So you don't need extra spaces because it's not like a summoner where you're getting more than what you're losing. But when it happens, it can go crazy because it's a 40% chance every single time. So there's a point where I summon in a Kobold, it goes into the mine, I auto get another one, that goes into the mine, and then I auto get another one. And that has the ability to happen because it's not on summoning. It's just whenever it happens, you have a 40% chance of it happening. And it goes insane. But the fact that you don't even need to have good strategy is why I know that this deck is very good. I'm not doing anything specific other than summoning in and leveling up. I remember playing Spirit Master a long time ago. I'm gonna go into like my my yesteryear. I maxed out a Spirit Master a very long time ago, and I existed before Gunslinger was a thing, and you needed to run. It was like Spirit Master, Trapper, Scrapper, Night Statue using Covenant of Veteran, which is obviously much harder than a Sharpened Spear. Covenant of Veteran, and then you're using a Witch. There was basically no way to place anything because you're obviously not running Gunslinger. You need to summon in extra things because of witches. So you need to hope that when you're scrappering that your scrapper hit doesn't hit a witch, a level 2 witch, because then now you need a level 2 witch in order to merge it. In order to get a witch merge, it was madness. It was difficult. It was borderline impossible to get, Night Statue stacks and scrappers in the correct place and a Night Statue in the correct place and 30 witch stacks. And if you could, it was a very good deck. And if you couldn't, you just died. It was impossible against Toxic. It was slightly okay against DPS decks. then you had to run like Amari. You had to max out Amari. And it was just really, really difficult. It was very difficult to play. And then they nerfed Spirit Master, and then nobody played it unless you had a Necromancer, at which point, because of Spirit Master's fast attack speed, on a Necromancer tile, you had the ability to get a bunch of insta-kills. And that's what made it a little bit better. You were also gaining mana off of Necromancer. You were also... Necromancer is inherently kind of toxic, so you were getting that aspect in order to win. So not only were you doing decent damage, you had insta-kill and mana gain off of the Necromancer, but you also had the ability to make them play a bad board. You know, like, 'cause now they can't use their... their outer circle, and they're just having to build differently, and even just that simple fact alone can make a deck weaker. Even if they don't necessarily use the outside board, it makes the deck just inherently weaker. And so it got to a point where Spirit Master hasn't been a thing for a while, in the same way that Monk isn't really a thing. And I feel very strongly that they're definitely gonna nerf this. It's not Spirit, even though Spirit Master is an event unit, like I said, it's not a current event unit. And because it's not a current event unit, they don't want non-current event units to be good. To be fair, this guy is playing Phoenix. He's not playing Phoenix well. So I'm not using this as a slam towards Phoenix. I'm just to point out, he's not playing this well. He has all the cards. He has a Reincarnation 1 Phoenix. He has a level 51 Zeus. He should win. He has a level 7 Glasses. He doesn't have a maxed out Witch. He doesn't have a maxed out Summoner. And he's using wacky talents on this fairy. He's using Fairy of Growth instead of Fairy of Rage. Nobody uses Carousel ever. So I don't know. This is like a person that has a lot of money and not a lot of skill. But like, does he even have like the second? No, he doesn't even. He's a Reincarnation 1 Phoenix, but he doesn't have the Reincarnation 1 talent. So that is a difference. But he doesn't even have a max Witch, and I don't like, I guess you don't even get the level up skill until you get to a level 60 Zeus, so that's also a problem. But the fact that he's not using a Scrapper instead, he could be doing the exact same strategy that he's doing right now. And if he had I think if he had a Scrapper, it probably, no, he has 2 level 6 Phoenixes, which is probably fine. He has 15 stacks on Witches, which sounds like it should be fine as well. I don't know. I don't know. I just know that he doesn't do well in this game at all. But yeah, I think that they're going to nerf Spirit Master because it's not an event unit. It's not a current event unit. It's not something that they can monetize. Most people that have Spirit Master already have it, probably. Like, nobody's going to invest into a Spirit Master specifically for this mode. And the other thing I want to talk about, like, really quickly, is the fact that they nerfed Monk specifically because of this mode, and it's not even a mode that's staying in the game, which I think is insane. To outright nerf a card because it's really good in Phantom PvP, but Phantom PvP is going away in 5 days or something like that, and then you're just gonna go back to regular PvP, they're not gonna unnerf Monk. And so Monk is just gonna be worse for no reason. And I feel like if they nerf, and their reasoning behind it is that they're thinking about changing PvP to always just be Phantom PvP, but they're trying to gauge whether or not people even like it. I think it's more interesting. I think that it's a mode where if you are going to win, you're probably going to win. Right now I'm at plus 24% mana, and I'm doing this amount of damage to bosses and giving him that his bosses that much more health. I was going to win this just because, like, I mean, like, I was just outplaying, or I was out damaging him so early, and that's why Spirit Master is so good. This format changes the way that you want a unit to be. This deck punishes a unit like Treant, something that doesn't really gain damage. It gains like a lot of damage overall, like, you know, in like 3 minute or 3 minute death waves. Like when you're in that area, it starts to have a lot of damage, but in that opening round, like in those first 9 waves in regular PvP, it's not that great. And once you go into like death waves, that's when it starts like really adding up and gaining like momentum, in the same way that like a Light Inquisitor will. Light Inquisitor is all based on bosses, but it's really bad early on because you're not gaining stacks in any other way other than killing bosses. But once you go into, you know, 2 minute death waves, you've killed enough bosses. You've killed a lot of bosses, and then all of a sudden it starts gaining momentum. Those kinds of builds, those kinds of units are heavily punished in this mode. Because if you don't win the opening rounds and gain those mana boosts and gain that mana advantage for your scrappers and for your, you know, just your summon-ins, if you're not gaining that advantage early game, this is not even, you know, like for a Spirit Master player that uses mana, but even just for any deck, like every deck, if you don't have a Zeus, you're running Scrapper. And now that they've nerfed Scrapper to where you need to eat 5 things in order to get a Scrapper hit, you need large quantities of mana, which is why Mana Robe is so good in this, is so good now. But if you are really bad, if your unit is really bad early game, like you need to build up, you need to like, oh, I need like this amount of stacks in order to start rolling, your deck is being heavily punished, which is why Phoenix is not that great. I guess Phoenix in the hands of a better person would be pretty great. I think that Bard is pretty great in this deck. Bard does a lot of burst damage. Spirit Master is obviously very good. I think Dark Inquisitor is probably pretty good. This entire format of Phantom PvP is all about burst damage. How much damage can you do early game? How fast can you kill a first boss? If you're running a Demon Hunter doesn't have attack speed in order to attack fast enough to kill a boss. Not in the early game anyway. And so you'll start losing the early rounds, at which point you won't have the mana the mana advantage for later rounds, and then you'll lose those as well. So if you have a maxed out Spirit Master, I would highly recommend playing this deck. Don't use trappers in the early game. If you have a kobold, use a kobold. Just put 4 Spirit Masters on the board, and just scrapper away very early game. And then like round 4, round 5, start laying out trappers, and then you should be fine. Get your like Spirit Masters to level 4, level 5, and then start laying out trappers. Absorb the whenever a scrapper hit is going to hit a trapper, absorb it with your gunslinger and win every game. It's very strong.